must be on.
Lars, intro the vid, man.
No.
Not today.
Okay. All right. Let's get rid of this. All right. Here's what I want. First row, you guys are a group. Group up. Second row will be the first four. You guys are a group. So group up. The next four, that's the L shape over there. You guys are a group, and you guys are a group right here. So group up. Move your desks together. So if you need to be in a pod, move. Okay, one of your group needs notes. One of your group needs a Chromebook. One of your group needs a calculator. And one of you needs to have this sheet.
No. I got the calculator. Oh, but I had to. Give me the paints.
I'm just the Chrome. Alright, now, yesterday. Alright, yesterday we did an example of the Band of Brothers episode where we're watching a video on trying to see, where they're going to land in England and trying to figure out, where the number is accurate. Today, we're doing the same thing to see are the numbers accurate that this video is representing. I did give you some details that are on this sheet of paper, but the first thing is try to ignore the other questions. We're going to do one question at a time, so you will need a Chromebook in front of you because some people will need to research. We'll definitely have some people that need to do some calculations and stuff, and then we're going to talk about how does it fit with the math we're doing right now. So we have a lot of stuff to kind of figure out, and hopefully this will make sense as we go. Okay, we're going to watch the video here in a second, get kind of the idea behind the story, and then we'll get started here. So I'm going to pause the camera because we can't have this on the screen. But your group needs to take details because I want to replicate the math that's on the video, and then try it on our paper. Okay? Okay, let me explain. Okay, what you were going to watch, but the video is not playing on the actual screen. It's not allowing me to. Okay. First thing. Okay. The movie itself, you can probably see it from the title of your thing was Castaway with Tom Hanks. Okay. In the movie, it's about the 1:14 mark in the actual film. There's a scene where Tom Hanks' character, who's stranded on an island, is talking to his volleyball Wilson. And he's discussing how the search plane is way off on their numbers. Okay? They were flying from Memphis, Tennessee. So they're flying from Memphis, Tennessee to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
It's a long flight, huh?
That is a long flight. That flight takes 19 hours. 53 minutes. Okay, that's the entire flight. Okay, now, if you were to watch the film, and we were going to watch a portion of it, but it didn't show it, at the 11.5-hour mark. So, at the 11.5-hour mark.
Are they going across the Atlantic or Pacific?
Pacific. So, going across the Pacific. At the 11.5-hour mark, they hit turbulence. So the plane itself was diverted. Okay, so if it's taking its normal path, so here's North America, blah, 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 there it is. Okay, there you go. Okay, there's the United States. Alright, so if you have Memphis about right there in kind of the middle of the country, and you're flying all the way over to Malaysia, which is the south of Asia, here you go. Alright, there you go, and here's Australia. Alright. So
that's not Malaysia. Malaysia's over.
Alright, so you're flying. At the 11.5-hour mark, right there, they were diverted. They had to divert around a storm that was in the Pacific, and they took a 15-degree angle departure. Okay? And if you were to watch the video, they flew for about an hour and 20 minutes in the storm. So they diverted 15 degrees and flew for an hour and 20 minutes, and he crashed.
Nice.
Okay, boom.
Wait, what movie is this from?
Castaway. Okay, now here's the problem. Here's the problem with this story, okay? They diverted 15 degrees, flew for about an hour and 20, he crashed. The problem is, right before they diverted, they lost all radio access. So their communications went out. The minute the storm was coming up on them, they lost all communications. So the minute the pilot diverted 15 degrees, both sides, the Pacific and the US, did not have any communication with the
So they
airplane.
don't know that they're off.
So they didn't know they were off. So they would still assume that the plane flew this direction for an hour and 20 minutes.
They're screwed.
Okay, hour and 20 minutes. What I want you to find, how far is he off? Now, the things you need, which is on the movie. And that's what we're going to talk about in your first line of that second question. Okay? So what I'd like you to do right now is draw a very accurate drawing of what I have on the board right now. That's your question number 1. If we could watch the video, that's what you should be drawing.
On this thing or no?
On that. You need to be drawing on that white piece of paper, not in your notebook. I don't want somebody complaining I have to take their notes. Draw on that white piece
Quit
of paper.
complaining, Tori. Wow. That was all your fault. Tori. You're complaining. Well, we're gonna break this down into minutes. Do you want to do this? So that's 8 minutes.
So, I want to figure out, so draw that, so that should be your accurate drawing. You can put it on the back, the front, it doesn't matter, you have a bunch of space at the bottom you can put it. Okay?
Wait, Mr. Ward, how fast was the plane going?
That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the accuracy of the video. So, if we can watch that, I'm going to try to get it working as you guys are trying to figure out numbers today.
Is it like perfectly accurate?
It's pretty close.
That's pretty nice.
Like
Yeah.
sound is accurate.
So,
It's real.
That's actually pretty sweet.
That's pretty straight.
Did they find him?
4.5 years later.
Or what? I've never seen him. Is he
How come we
alive?
haven't
Is this
found-
a true
How
story?
come we haven't found the
Basically.
Malaysia
Is
Airlines?
this like? Oh wait, Mr. Ward, what do you think happened with Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 though?
What?
What do you think
They're
happened?
not human
Don't
race.
You don't care about
Don't
people that just.
I care about the
magically
plane
disappear?
and the
Did you know
people on
aliens
it,
are-
but I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't care about it right now.
You know aliens are
Hey, I don't want to hear about it, guys.
I forgot that.
Okay. So, alright, does everyone have their drawing? Okay, here's what you need to do in your group right now. You need to figure out the distance that they're off by. Now, the thing you need is on question number 2. You have to figure out how fast that plane is flying. So this is the part where you need a Chromebook. You need to actually search the type of plane that I provided you. That's the FedEx plane that he was on, because he's a FedEx head executive. So, you need to go online, go on Google, and find the average speed that plane can travel. Not the top speed, the average speed.
FedEx MD-11.
Yep, so go online, let's find it right now, but don't say it out loud. You need to use that number, we'll explain it here in a minute.
Wait, who's the main actor in this?
Tom Hanks.
Why does that matter?
Oh, I look up average, huh?
He has a lot of movies. He has Castaway, Captain Phillips.
I do straight. I like the
Stranded movies.
I don't just take math.
Captain Phillips is a fantastic.
Sometimes I take
Listen,
math.
I'm Sully.
So for like 3 weeks straight, I just came up and took math. basically.
Sully's awesome.
But now,
Lisa.
like, I cleaned like the whole house the other day, and then I took
Remember-
a tour, we went to eat.
Remember when
And then
he first saw Sully and
yeah,
created
and then Jordan had
Just
this
watch
person,
Sully,
so I wanted to
hashtag
go anyways,
one
we just
back.
went. So, I wanted to go to Applebee's, and Jordan had baseball, so I went to the open.
Oh, yes. That takes
No!
No, a little harder.
Okay, I don't care about that, I wanted to reach each chicken up in Rocky, I wanted it for like 6 months, and we never go there.
Oh, you guys are possibly gonna fly.
Like the same, but it could be.
Like, why would you sleep that far?
That's just different than that extra plane.
Not like, I'm just gonna land in the Hudson.
Yeah.
Hashtag Hudson landing.
Can we multiply those?
We're struggling on the speed research.
What kind of FedEx plane is it?
So it'll need.
FedEx has many different planes.
Oh, and then my mom said next time we can go where you want, and that's probably the most.
MD-1030.
So Mr. Ward, which plane is this?
MD-11.
This thing is
It's on your sheet of paper.
MD-11.
MD-11. FedEx MD-11 version.
We're
So, it's actually, we have to.
So it's my top result line.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
let's go to the top.
Well, you have a MacBook.
Yeah,
that's what makes it.
we have what you call Chromebooks.
No difference.
We have Chrome.
5.4.
Okay, you guys figured it out?
Maya.
My top result.
Hey, how many miles an hour do you make?
How do you get that to a mile?
Search.
We are.
Wait, how'd you know?
You were just sitting here with our.
What?
Is it right there?
guess take the 80
My
divided by
top
6.
result was.
And then I'll give you the number you need. Hey,
80 divided by 6. 1.6.
That's a PDF.
Just type in that.
And that multiply that by. You gotta use your words.
Okay.
544.
Two groups have figured it out. So
This word, is that the correct answer? Yes. Yes! Okay, that's what, 5.
All right.
Depends on how many threes you
The
do.
walls, this is what the walls are. What do you think?
All right. Hey. What?
Oh wait, I thought
It's just they probably switched. Okay. All right. Hey, first thing you need to do now that you have your speed, your average speed of that plane. You need to figure out the distances that are here and here.
Ever.
So if you have your speed in miles per hour, which everyone has, you take that times the time, but the time has to be in hours, so you got to convert this to decimals. Okay, once you have that in hours, you can multiply these together and then you do your distance in miles. That's what you need for these, because you'll have your triangle and you can find the wall that is across from it. And you can see how far he's off by. That's what we're going to need.
No.
No.
So we have to do that one.
Yep, you're going to have to do log cosine. Now that one required that you had to find the angle, but we're finding the wall, so it's a modified version of that. We won't have the 9, but you'll have all the other stuff.
So we're gonna pretty much have an a squared equals
Plus
Hey, are you solving the math?
that same.
Yeah, you already solved the math.
725.
Yeah, but you have the distance on the actual wall.
I know, 7 times
What is
725.
Yeah, how's that
Not.
15?
I think we break this.
Oh wait,
Yes.
it's the a squared plus.
It's over there.
Miles. Okay, so now, once you have those numbers on that triangle, now you can find the missing wall, and that's what we're trying to figure out. How far is he off the line?
That should not be the biggest wall.
Okay, make sure your whole group is participating, make sure that everyone knows kind of what they're doing.
Minus?
That's a big old number, Mr. Ward.
Cosine 15? Yeah.
1091.
No, Ward, we're not done yet. Why are you talking?
But
That doesn't make sense to.
That would be the biggest walls. This should be the smallest.
Why are you talking? Stop. Stop. I don't know. Why are you talking?
Trying to do math.
There's 2 of them plus a 5.
Mr. Ward,
Yeah.
the math of fastest
aircraft ever was in 1967.
You keep getting this really large number and you know it's not right because it can't be bigger than.
Take the square root of it, Tori, come on.
Nobody's got fast.
Yeah, I know your problem is, I didn't even look at it.
thank you, Reese.
I'm a savage. The cosine.
That's pretty impressive, you actually knew your problem before I even got there.
15. This word should hire me as teacher.
But what would your advice be if you wanted to?
If I,
Wait, are you figuring it out?
This guy said that to you?
Got that down?
some guy, don't refer to him as some guy, like some.
No, I don't.
Reese,
I don't
Okay,
think.
those same
the
ones.
fastest aircraft ever flew in 1960.
Did you get 100% on that?
Yeah, but they don't
Say again.
care to make you guess anymore. That's crazy though.
Wait, how fast you go?
And she doesn't pay for
We
me.
even found the other angle.
6.7.
Yeah, I didn't get it
6.7
either.
times faster than sound.
I got it like a 90 on the first one and 90
So
on
how
this
does
one. A 98?
Yeah.
Cindy also
It
got
went
98
fast.
because she left the English in
I'll
hers.
figure it out.
Hold on.
She wasn't there on Friday to help her and she wanted like 5,000 something. So she left it so she's like, I don't know what the number was. And
Wait,
then-
those are in?
Yeah.
Why do we keep doing that?
Ready?
Oh.
5,148.
You're roughly
Oh, you
280.
only got 100
Five, two.
She's a I have to take the negative square root.
Oh, but she was, okay, she was there.
Goes.
And she,
Math, math. These numbers are slightly off.
she was dating, this is Lucer's husband.
He made people stand up and dance and sing, and she danced with him. Hang a pen else.
What did you do for your end of days?
And they,
189. Your friends ever gone to parties?
I know, but
This is
all the tables since he kept standing up and dancing.
Sometimes I was on
Yeah,
Some other
this is
business.
just outside.
Sexy blue shirt, but
I can try to get
he made up this song about how he was getting high and drinking shit. It was probably the weirdest experience of my life. Then they were doing like something and everyone was standing in a circle around the
No, no, no.
I was still singing it. We didn't want to get up. And he was like walking in the middle and he was like picking up people's purses. He goes, "This is the best part. I get to look through everyone's purses." But he didn't actually
all
look
these
through
numbers,
anyone.
those and the others,
He was
tracking
cutting
that
this
baby
one.
off.
This is the big one. M stands for
And
mom.
I'm taking the square
And then he
root.
took someone's sandwich, like the appetizer thing, and he took the meat out of it. Huh?
Championship. Get your dubs
The
up.
sandwiches were whatever the appetizers, but the other stuff was weird. Took the meat out of it and he looked at me and then I didn't.
Do you wanna know how weird that snake white class is?
Yeah.
She gave her face, she's like, oh, you look so pretty, and then slapped me across the face, and she's like, I did that because she was so pretty. And then she just walked away. I was
See,
like,
I got a
oh,
way
my
smaller
God.
number than that. My number was almost 35.
Called Alice in Australia. She like doesn't know her actual name.
Australia.
Well, you're what, we're doing the
She
math
was like,
right
yeah,
now.
that's like a universal thing for like her
See,
bag.
I wonder if it's just the difference of having the 725 more
I don't know, I think universal, I could have just been a girl. Or just Josh. Pretty cool.
Well, I guess that makes sense because it's a couple. Well, because Mr. Ward,
This is
each
like.
wall would be off by 7 miles.
Yeah, I get a sushi. Yeah, I do the, I like.
Okay, alright, hey, did everyone get a chance to solve? Okay, what were the numbers we got?
282 points.
189.3.
That's the numbers I was looking for, same? What do you guys get?
No, 188.8.
188.8. We got 282, so it had to be your numbers that it came down to.
But we did it right.
So you did the correct math. Okay, now hey, here's the idea. That doesn't sound like a lot.
But it was still really funny.
Okay, so you did your law of sine, law of cosine, got about 189.82 or whatever it was. Okay, this is in miles. Now, let's just talk about this. They may not sound like a lot, like, oh, it's not too far off. The problem is, you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, on a random island, 189 miles from where you should be. Where you should be. So now, some of the questions that are on your sheet. You'll have to find the angles, because if he's here, you have to find the angle he'll need to take to get back on track. So that's one thing you'll have to find here in a little bit. But what I want to compare is just not just talking about what angle he'll need to take and how far he's away from his base. I want to talk about the search that would be required.
Twice the size of Texas.
Okay, that is what they talk about in the movie. Okay, thanks for Googling it and ruining it. Okay, so the idea is that if this is where his plane's supposed to be, you have to put in consideration how far you actually traveled, how far you actually traveled, and then you have to do a search because you could have went at any point off of that. It could have went at any point from there in that range. So him going off by 15 degrees, he could have been off by more than that or less than that. But if you do a search engine by the time the storm clears and they have the beaker signal, okay? Here's the thing I want to show you. I want to show you a picture of Google Earth. All right, so.
I get that he's running, but I just don't.
Okay. Let me show Google Earth here, and then we'll talk about the numbers that he's coming up with. Or not. Just there. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about the actual numbers here. Okay, what was that original number right here on this wall This one.
735.3.
That, okay, that's gonna be my radius of my circle, my search.
No, how
Because
about
if he were to fly for an hour and 20 minutes on the right path, that's theoretically where he should have been when they got the beaker signal, okay? But the problem is, they were off. They're off by 189 miles. But you need to actually see the search that would be involved here. So the 11 and a half hour mark, if you're traveling on your airplane for 11 and a half hours, okay, that puts you, where's my calculator at? If you're flying for 11 and a half hours, 11.5 times 544, you're flying almost 6,000 miles already. So let me give you a picture of Google Earth.
How does he get sleepy?
Okay.
But I like switch clouds.
All right. So here's Google Earth. we're gonna assume that just for our purposes here. Let me hit the lights. We'll just put Memphis kind of right below Iowa, kind of below the Great Lakes area. We'll just kind of pinpoint it. But what we need, okay, because I want to get to the Malaysian one. So, all right. So let's see, Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia. All right.
370.
Search or not. Okay, whatever. All right. So if we click and we use this ruler, so in theory, here's about where Memphis is sitting, and that's ballparking it. We're flying towards Malaysia, and Kuala Lumpur is about right here. It's in that general area. So if you're actually looking at my Google Earth, it actually has the mileage. So all I need to do is shorten up, and I'm trying to go towards here. I have to shorten up to about the 6,256 mile mark. Okay, so, past it. 6,200, all right, so about right here. That's where he's at in his flight. They diverge for 15 degrees going this way. But the problem is, for his next search, they're assuming he's going 700 miles, what was that number, 725? Yeah. Straight ahead. So if I click my path here, they're assuming he's going from here to here for 700 miles. Now I can drag this if I want to grab this number and make it 700 miles. So here is 725 miles. This is where they think he's roughly going. Okay, but he's not. He's off. He's like down here a little ways because you said it was about 189 miles off. But the problem is that's a really big radius of my circle. If I actually draw a circular path there, starting here and going out to here, okay, actually I'll just go the other way, okay, and that was my circle. Look at the square mileage that I have here.
1 million.
It's about 1 million square miles. Now, just to put this in perspective, and I'm going to use my radius, I'm going to go to the United States here, and I'm going to zoom into Iowa. So let's say somebody went missing in Iowa, okay, just to give you a perspective of this number. Okay, so here's Iowa. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to give you the search for 725 miles. So if you're looking at my mileage here, that's 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So this is 725. That's the search that they're looking for one man over the Pacific. Okay, if you didn't hear the gentleman that we're searching Google, it's twice the size of Texas, which it is.
Oh, it's right there.
It's twice the size of Texas. And then I always have people that always wonder, why can't they just find them? They're only off by 189 miles. This is their search they're doing for one person. Okay, over several states.
How many islands are there?
Okay, so let's go back to the spot where I was at on my map. Okay, roughly. And this is, again, a rough guesstimate of where we're at. Okay, this is the idea of where he was. He went 15 degrees this direction. So if I click my path again, so he went 15 degrees from here. Oop, let's delete that one. Okay, so he's right here. He's flying towards Malaysia. Up there to Malaysia. But he went off a little bit of ways, about 189 miles. So in theory, this is the general area where he's at. Ooh, tilting the wrong way. let's tilt it back to normal. Okay, this gives you a rough estimate of where he's at. And again, 725 plus 189 going this way. So what do we be at? We'd be at like 800 something. So he's in this general area here. If I had, probably about right here actually. If that's 15 degrees off. So this gives you an idea of like the island chain that he's on. There's a bunch of little tiny islands in that area. I think one of the common ones was like in this general area was here. But I was trying to look at like kind of what islands they're kind of set at, roughly. There's a ton of little tiny ones that, on Google they won't even show them. Okay? There's some other major ones going this way. But this is the idea, this is trying to show you kind of perspective of what they're searching over. There's a lot of nothingness in the Pacific Ocean. It's the biggest ocean, in terms of square mileage that's just open face. The Atlantic isn't as big.
And then there's Hawaii.
There's Hawaii, there's Wake Island, which our military holds control, which is about in this general area. Okay? This gives you the idea, there it is. This gives you an idea of the size. This is a military base that the United States currently holds. But huge. It's a huge, vast, space. And that's why, in this movie, they talk about just very subtly, is they're never going to find me. Yeah, it was 4.5 years later, and he ended up he left the island on a homemade raft, and he sailed on the open ocean for about 2 days before an ocean liner found him that was carrying oil from one country to another. And he just happened to be in one of the shipping lanes. He could have easily passed, but again, it was a made-for-TV movie, so they're stretching truth a little bit, but they're glorifying it a little bit. But the idea was that this gives you an idea of perspective. I wanted you to think about that whole square mileage idea when you're on the Pacific.
What's the square mileage of the Malaysia one?
They went, I think it was the whole flight itself. The area that they were searching was this.
So it's way more than that.
Way more than that. So to give you an idea of what they're searching for a circle, this is where they thought it was. This is the search that they're looking at. Because they found parts in Madagascar. They thought they had wreckage that was showing up in the east coast of Australia, or west coast of Australia. So that was 12 times the size of the search that we're doing. That's more than the United States in terms of search.
That's crazy. What do you think happened to it?
Okay, it went down. So, it went down the ocean. I don't care where, it was just somewhere there.
Did you know that aliens were...
No, I'm not going to talk about that. Alright,
That's a
okay.
bold estimate. Somewhere in there. That's only 12 million miles.
That's like drawing so
Okay, but that was the video. If I could have shown you the clips, you'd have saw it, and you were actually accurate on what they were talking about. If your group can, put your names on it. Make sure you have your numbers on there. The only thing you have to find still is the angle down in the corner. You have to find that one angle.
Do you want us to do that right now?
Yep. You have to find that one angle.
You just have to do
725, 725. You have the 189. You need to find that angle right there.
So, Mr. Wood, your best piece of advice.
Right? Like this is the angle. Do you want this?
Oh.
Yes.
Is
It's
that
done.
weird?
Oh wait,
No, just
it's gonna be.
180
Wait, can you
minus
just do simple
13,
math
and
and
then
it's gonna be
they're
180
the
and it's gonna be equal to
By
7?
that.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have one angle.
725, those angles are the same.
Yeah, you know that they're the exact same. Spelled it again. Because they're also the same.
Okay, hey, make sure your group is trying to figure it out. There's a couple different ways. One group's already kind of figured that out.
80 minus 15.
We'll talk about it more tomorrow. Tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow. You need your textbooks tomorrow.
We're doing the.
Okay, we're going to look at finishing out this section, this chapter 6. We're going to start reviewing Wednesday in here for the chapter test. Tuesday when we get back, we'll review, because I don't like to put a test on the day we get back after a 5-day
And then
vacation.
review again Wednesday.
And then Wednesday is our test.
We should review
Mr. Ward.
3 days though, because this is a really hard test.
So, best view, this is a nice.
If we play 2 of them, 40. You can actually win it.
Why do you have a paper clip on your...
I need to cycle.
I can't play Fortnite with you anymore. No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying
It's okay, don't let.
One of the things that they don't teach you in college, how about this? The best thing that they don't teach you in college, the homework you assign to kids, takes you twice as long to grade.
Why?
Don't give homework.
That's the number one thing that they don't teach you in college. Like they go through all your stuff that you're gonna have to show and the strategy you can do and the homework and the different types of ways you can present homework and how to do it and stuff and what the different multimedia that you can present it like I do here. But what they don't teach you is to grade it. It takes you twice as long as what the kids spent on it.
So what are you saying about
Choice
that?
is one kid spent, not twice.
So what do you
But
say
that's a
about
lot when you have 9 classes and
So,
you
like-
try to grade for an hour and a half for each one.
Yeah.
So don't assign as much, or what do you?
No, you need to just be
Cautious.
cautious of what you assign. So.
Mr. Ward, yeah, Mr. Ward, my mom was a math teacher. She gave, for all the assignments, she gave them points if they, like, full points if they showed all their work. If they didn't show work, she took off like half of the points. If they didn't turn it in, then they got zeros. That's what
Clever way
she
to
did.
do it.
She didn't have time to grade it, because she had me.
But then the ones that I don't do, always, every time I do.
All right. Hey, tomorrow, make sure you have your textbook, all that good stuff.